The day the girl was born, the women in the compound whispered. Not because she cried too loudly, not because she was sick, but because of something unusual about her. She had a very full, rounded body for a newborn, and as she grew, one thing became very noticeable. She had a very large and beautiful figure. Her mother noticed it before anyone else did. From that moment, her mother believed something powerful about her child. This child, she would say proudly, is not meant for an ordinary life. She will sit on a throne one day. The girl's name was Zarima. Every morning before the sun rose, her mother would brush her hair and repeat the same words. You are not meant for a poor man. You are not meant for a farmer or a trader. A king will marry you. At first, Zarima would laugh, but her mother never laughed. She believed it deeply. As Zarima grew older, the villagers began to notice how her mother spoke about her future. Some people admired the confidence. Some people laughed quietly behind their backs. Some would tease the young girl, future queen, they would call when she walked past. Others would jokingly bow whenever she passed through the market. Zarima did not enjoy the attention. All she wanted was a simple life. Sometimes, she imagined marrying a kind man, living peacefully, and raising children in a small home. But every time she said this, her mother would stop her immediately. No, her mother would say firmly, you were born for something greater. Years passed. Zarima became one of the most beautiful young women in the region. Her confidence, grace, and strong presence made her stand out anywhere she went. Then one day, news spread across the kingdom. The king was searching for a new queen. Young women from different villages would come to the palace. The king would choose those he believed could be queens of the kingdom. Zarima's mother did not waste a second. You will go, she said. Zarima hesitated, but her mother insisted until she finally agreed. Soon, the palace was filled with many young women hoping to be chosen. They came from wealthy families, royal families, and noble homes. Zarima felt small among them. But when the king saw her, something about her presence stood out. After several days of selection, the king chose a few women to become queens of the palace, and Zarima was one of them. Her mother celebrated in the village like a woman whose prophecy had finally come true. My daughter is a queen, she told everyone proudly. But life inside the palace was not as peaceful as Zarima imagined. There were already other queens living there. Each one wanted power. Each one wanted to be the most important. Each one wanted to give the king the child who would one day sit on the throne. Months passed. Then one morning, the palace healer announced something important. Zarima was expecting a child. The palace became quiet because everyone knew what that meant. If Zarima gave birth to the king's first son, her child could become the next ruler of the kingdom. The other queens smiled politely, but behind those smiles, jealousy grew. And slowly, a dangerous plan began to form. They secretly spoke with the palace midwife. Gold was exchanged. Promises were made. The plan was simple and cruel. On the day Zarima gave birth, her baby would disappear, and something else would take its place. The day of delivery finally arrived. Zarima struggled for hours before finally giving birth to a healthy baby boy, but she was too weak to notice what happened next. The midwife carried the baby away, and moments later, she returned with something wrapped in cloth. When the cloth was opened, the room filled with gasps. Inside was a cat. The palace erupted in confusion. Word quickly reached the king. A queen has given birth to a cat, the servant whispered. The king was angry and embarrassed. The elders of the palace called it a terrible sign. Without asking many questions, the king made a painful decision. Zarima was sent away from the palace. She was given the cat and told never to return. Her heart broke. She had never wanted the crown. She had never wanted power. She only wanted peace. Now she had lost everything. Alone and crying, Zarima walked deep into the forest. Night fell around her. She sat under a large tree, holding the cat close, wondering how her life had changed so quickly. Then suddenly, she heard something, a faint sound, a baby crying somewhere in the darkness. Zarima stood up slowly, her heart beating fast, because somewhere in that silent forest, a child was crying, and she had no idea that the sound she was hearing would soon change her destiny forever.
I hear you. I'm coming. Oh, baby, who must have left you here?
The crying sound grew louder as Zarima followed it through the forest. Her heart was pounding. Who would leave a baby alone in the middle of the forest? She pushed branches aside carefully until she reached a small clearing. And there, wrapped in cloth and lying beside a tree, was a baby boy. The child was crying softly. Zarima quickly rushed forward and carried him into her arms. The moment she held him, something strange happened. The baby immediately stopped crying. He looked up at her calmly, almost as if he recognized her. Zarima's heart softened. She did not know where the child came from, but she could not leave him there. "I will take care of you," she whispered. Days passed as Zarima stayed in the forest, caring for the baby like her own child. One afternoon, while she was sitting beside a small stream, washing the baby's cloth, an elderly woman appeared from the trees. Her hair was white and her eyes were calm and wise. "You have a kind heart," the old woman said. Zarima was startled. She quickly stood up respectfully. The elderly woman looked at the baby and smiled gently. "Do you know who this child is?" she asked. Zarima shook her head. "I found him here in the forest." The woman nodded slowly. "The kingdom is searching for you." Zarima looked down. "I cannot return," she said sadly. "The king sent me away." The elderly woman stepped closer and spoke softly. "You were wronged." Zarima looked confused. "What do you mean?" The elderly woman pointed gently at the child. "This child you found is the child you gave birth to." Zarima froze. Her heart nearly stopped. "The queens planned it," the woman continued calmly. "They bribed the midwife to take your baby and replace him with a cat." Tears filled Zarima's eyes. Everything suddenly made sense. "But why is he here in the forest?" she asked. "The midwife could not harm the child," the woman explained. "So she left him here, hoping someone kind would find him." Zarima hugged the baby tightly. "My son." The elderly woman smiled. "The kingdom is already discovering the truth." Back at the palace, something strange had happened. Two other queens later gave birth, but instead of babies, each one was found holding a cat. The palace fell into panic. The king called the village priest to investigate. After examining everything, the priest spoke carefully. "This is not normal," he said. "A great wrong was done in this palace." Soon the midwife confessed everything. The king was filled with regret. He immediately sent men across the land to search for Zarima. Back in the forest, the elderly woman spoke again. "It is time for you to return." Zarima hesitated. "I only want a peaceful life." The woman gently touched the child's head. "Return not for the crown," she said. "Return for your son." After thinking for a long moment, Zarima agreed. When she finally returned to the palace, the entire kingdom gathered to see her. The king rushed forward and knelt before her. "Forgive me," he said with deep regret. Then his eyes fell on the child in her arms. As the king looked closely, he noticed something familiar. A small birthmark on the child's wrist, the same mark the king himself carried. Tears filled his eyes. "My son." The truth was clear. The kingdom celebrated the return of the true queen and the true prince. The queens who planned the evil scheme were removed from the palace. Peace slowly returned. Zarima finally found the life she had once wished for, not because of a crown, but because of truth and patience. And from that day forward, the kingdom remembered an important lesson. A crown forced by pride can bring pain, but truth always finds its way back to the light. Please like, share, comment, and follow for more stories. Thanks for watching.